We are live, NFL Week 13, the only Wednesday stream we'll do all year for obvious reasons. Thanksgiving is tomorrow, 3 games tomorrow, so we thought we'd do it early. Marcus, how are we doing on this fine Wednesday?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. It feels like I just saw you a few days ago. It's because I did. But got our first snowfall here in Minnesota. So like the vibes have arrived just in time for the holidays here and a great weekend of football. So I'm looking forward to today's show.
Curious, this is just real quick. Are you a Christmas lights or tree up before Thanksgiving, or are you after?
We are actually hanging the lights here as soon as the show ends here, but that's really just because, in Minnesota, if you don't do it early, you're going to be out there in like 15-degree weather trying to do it. So I think we have a good enough excuse up here because the forecast, it was like 40 degrees yesterday, 30 degrees today. The snow came last night, and then tomorrow it's like 22 degrees. So it's like we at least have a reason to do it.
All right, well, that's I know Maryland's not the same as Minnesota, but not too far off in terms of that, so very similar.
Yeah.
But look, we have a lot of games to get into. Packers, Lions, first game. Packers won in week 12. We'll just leave it at that. They took care of business. And so did the Lions. The Lions also won in week 12. Both teams are coming off a win. It was the Jahmyr Gibbs game in week 12 for the Lions. And one thing that I'm really, really looking forward to is seeing how this Lions offensive line specifically handles the Green Bay pass rush. Obviously, because of what happened back in week 1. I mean, if we are being completely honest, the Packers absolutely manhandled the Lions for most of that game. And the 27-13 final was, I would say there was some window dressing with that final score. Isaac Tesla scored with less than a minute to play, and I think you have to really credit the Packers defense with the way that they played in that game. But this is very much, we've had 2.5 months since then. A lot of things have changed, and the Lions are 7-4. The Packers are technically half a game ahead of them because of the tie. But the Packers offense over the past couple of weeks hasn't exactly been all that great. I know they put up 23 points last week, and that's not a Jordan Love thing. It's just the offense. It hasn't been what we've seen the Packers offense capable of earlier in the year. So how they play against the Lions is definitely something else to note. And then Marcus, I am curious where you stand on, the whole Jordan Love with the whole going through the mid-season flows, if you will. And, the Toyota-thon has to be brought up with Jordan Love. But with the Lions specifically, they are kind of rolling entering this game offensively. 2 of their last 3 games, they've had 490 yards or more of offense. Granted, the one game was outside in Philly at night. So that's obviously not going to play into this game specifically because it's, indoors at Ford Field, and a little schedule change. It is 1:00 instead of 12:30 like the normal Thanksgiving starts, or 11:30 Central Time, or now 12 Central Time. But ultimately, I think the Lions are going to win. I think it's going to be one of the better games of the week, but I'm going to go with Detroit 27-24.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I think the biggest thing to look for on the Packers side of things is, can they show up and stop the run? I think if you're Detroit, after you saw this last matchup, if you win the coin toss, I would take the ball. If I'm Detroit here, you do not want to get behind and let this turn into a Micah Parsons fest.
No.
I think Green Bay has definitely kind of showed that, look, if you're gonna attack them, it's go right up the middle. And when in the Vikings game last week, I actually thought the Vikings did a pretty good job of running the ball early, but then the fumbled punt happens and again turn into a Micah Parsons fest. So that's what you want to go for here if you're Detroit. They've continued to show the interior offensive line, those 2 young players. I'll just call them 2 rookies, even though Mahogany's in year 2. They're awesome run blockers for how young they are, but it's maybe the worst pass blocking duo at guard in the league. So that's just a very kind of, I guess, 2-sided or polarizing matchup, the way you want to look at it, especially when the Packers are not a great run defense and a great pass rush. So that's what I'm looking for there. As for the Packers, I think it's kind of the opposite. I don't think you want to come out in this one and try to run the ball and try to out physical the Lions. That's not going to go well if you're Green Bay. I want to see LaFleur come out, understand the matchup. Like, that's part of being the offensive coach. The matchup in this game is to pass against this Lions defense that has been banged up in the secondary. They had countless miscommunications last week. I think you have Zach Tom to go against Aiden Hutchinson is a perfectly reasonable matchup to be able to protect Jordan Love. And the Packers haven't run the ball all that well at all this year. So I think the Packers have done that better the last couple of weeks. I think especially the Giants game, they didn't really mess around. They threw a lot more, and I love to see that. And then last week, I think they did earlier in the game. But then again, after that fumbled punt, it was just like, we got a 2-score lead. Let's just, like, they just kept handing the ball to Emmanuel Wilson because they were like, JJ McCarthy can't do anything in this game. So that's what I'm looking for Green Bay is go out, throw the football, make it a Christian Watson game, make it a, Dobbs, Matthew Golden. I think that's a good advantage for the Packers there against the secondary. So should be a great one. I think I got to take Detroit being at home here. I really think the opening drive is going to decide a lot of this game, though. I think who wins the coin toss, and if the winner of the coin toss takes the ball and goes to get an opening drive touchdown, I think that can dictate how this game goes.
Agree. And before we move on to Cowboys Chiefs, I'm glad you highlighted the point within the Vikings game, because obviously there's so much noise around that game last week, specifically with one player, but the Vikings were doing a good job of running the football prior to that. And if the Vikings are doing a good job with zero or negative quarterback play, then I kind of worry about that with the Packers in this game. And it's hard to beat the Lions once in a season, let alone sweep them. So, but we'll see. And the Packers, we'll see how it goes. But I think the Lions are going to win 27-24. I think it's going to be one heck of a game, though.
Yeah, I like the score prediction. I think that's right around what we see. All right, then the next game for Thanksgiving, man, we get a lucky day tomorrow. Chiefs, Cowboys, colossal matchup. Good on the Cowboys for making this thing interesting. The Quinnen Williams trade, I'm in. I like it. I think you still are in a net positive from the Micah Parsons trade, having a first instead of a second. You get a superstar defender in Quinnen Williams that it's been fun to see a reminder. Like, I remember him coming out, like, he was a goofy dude. Like, he was a fun kind of media,
bless you,
clip. What'd you say?
Bless you. Thank you.
But I bless me. I don't get the reference.
No. So Quinnen, he sneezed mid-interview and then he said, bless you. Thank you. And then kept going. Like, he blessed and thanked himself and then kept going.
Oh, that's right. That was years ago, right? Yeah. Okay. I got you now. Yeah. But no, I think it's all kind of working out for Dallas. They're in a pretty good spot, and they're like, I guess, can we call them the best 5-5-1 football team of all time? I'd like to see that list. But I mean, seriously, I think they can move the ball against this Chiefs defense on a short week. You don't have quite as much time for that Spags masterclass in this one. And it's a tough offense to scheme against as well. Cause I've been saying that with the Chiefs defense, it's like, you're kind of counting on either Chris Jones to dominate or a Steve Spagnuolo masterclass. And it's going to be tough to do that here in a short week after you just played the Colts last week. So I do think Dallas can move the ball in this one. I think the Cowboys defense, like I said, the Quinnen Williams factor, it's legit, man. They have it's crazy to say that they traded away Micah Parsons, but their D line's actually better. But they've done a good job, man. They bring in Quinnen. They add Kenny Clark in that trade. They still have Osa Odigizua. They nailed the Ezuraku pick. They added Jadeveon Clowney. Like, they have 5 deep on that D line that can get after it. And they're getting healthier on the back end too. So, I mean, Mahomes and this Chiefs offense, yes, they got the win last week and it was a huge moment. So many just frustrating moments in that game, though, whether it's Mahomes overthrows. I thought he was very frantic in the pocket last week, which it's been a little more hit or miss with him in terms of having that kind of like Aaron Rodgers-esque pocket management. It felt like earlier in his career, he always did the right thing in that sense. Well, you go back to the Super Bowl loss last year, what we saw last week, you're starting to stack up these moments. It's like, man, is this a quarterback that you can try like just rushing 3 and he'll start to scramble against it and you can have a spy on him and trap him like that? Because that's what the Colts were doing against him and it worked multiple times. So, I think Dallas's defense obviously is going to have to step up in this one, but I think from a matchup perspective, I mean, Dallas has a lot of reasons why they can keep this thing interesting. Them being at home as well. Both these teams are coming off of huge games last week as well and huge wins. So I think it's going to be a battle. The biggest thing to look out for is Trey Smith is out on the short week here. And I mentioned that interior trio for Dallas. I think that's going to be a big deal, making Mahomes uncomfortable. So I'm actually, I think, did we both pick Dallas last week against Philly?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's keep it rolling. I'll pick the Cowboys here. I think they might be the more talented team in this matchup.
I'm with you. I'm with you, dude. The Chiefs right now, they're in a dangerous spot because they're 6-5 last week, but they ran 91 plays and only put up 23 points. That's not good. And their schedule after this, they play the Texans next week. They play the Chargers the week after. Then they go to Tennessee. Should be a win. And then they play the Broncos. So you're getting, this is dangerous territory for Kansas City. And the Chiefs right now, despite ranking 9th in points per game, I feel like the Chiefs offense this year has, it's obviously when you think of the Chiefs, you probably think of the 2018, 2019, 2020, but right now they're, believe it or not, second in average points per drive. So they've been a pretty efficient team, all things considered, because they generally get points on most drives. But I'm going to be honest, I don't think they're going to be able to hang with the Dallas Cowboys offense. I'm at this point, this is kind of a dangerous area to be, but I'm kind of, as all in as I can be with the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to, run the table or anything, but this team right now is really good. And I think you also have to, in some ways, credit the defense for the way they've played over the past couple of weeks. Great point that you brought up with Quinnen and with Kenny Clark and with Osa Odighizuwa, and especially with Ezra, who I loved coming out of Boston College. I think there's a chance that the Cowboys make the playoffs. I really do. The biggest thing is they have to split the Chiefs and Lions. They play the Lions next week. They have to split these games. And if they split, then, their final four are the Vikings, the Chargers, at the Commanders, at the Giants. The only one you'd have to really worry about in that span, notably, of course, is the Chargers. But, when you're going up against the Chargers offensive line with this defensive line the Cowboys have, I'm going to pick the Cowboys. But for this game specifically, I'm with you. Hungry dogs run faster. Cowboys are playing great football. I'm going with Cowboys to win.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're any team or a fan of an NFC team, you're watching this game Thanksgiving afternoon, you're saying go Chiefs, man. I don't want the Cowboys could be a boogeyman right now with their momentum. So you kind of want, 10 wins on the table. Yeah. All righty. All right. Where are you going next?
Oh, we have Bengals Ravens, baby. We have, and shout out to the schedule makers, by the way. A lot of people complain about the schedules like now, 6 months after the fact, when you've no idea what injuries are going to happen, and my biggest thing is next June or whenever the schedule's released, I would love for the people to complain about the schedule 6 months in advance and see oh man, this game sucks. But no, this is an awesome Thanksgiving slate. It really is. So Bengals Ravens, they get Joe and Jamar back. The biggest thing with the Bengals though is we have, when it's bad on bad, it's coughing baby, and then whatever the one is hydrogen bomb or whatever. This is coughing baby. This is the Bengals they can't get after the quarterback. The Ravens offensive line, despite them winning 5 games in a row, it's kind of slid under the radar in terms of just how inefficient they've been. And this is a question for the chat here, because I don't know how common knowledge this is, but if you had to guess where the Ravens rank right now, hold on. I might have messed this up actually. Never mind. No, the Ravens just right now, they're not a great team with especially with what we've seen in the past for the Baltimore Ravens, at least for the team that we know this team to be. And they are, or specifically with Voorhees and Daniel Falele, the Ravens fan base, don't get them started on Daniel Falele. They're very passionate about their right guard. They're very passionate about the right guard. But with 5 wins in a row, I feel like the Alohi Gilman trade is, obviously that saved the team's season, but I feel like that the Ravens not dominating teams the way you'd expect. There's also a lot of suspicion within the fan base that Lamar is not 100%, and I kind of understand where they're coming from with those suspicions, and you'd want to see in 2 of these next 3 games against the Bengals, you really want to see the Ravens put up 30 plus points, at least in one of them, and look really efficient, have just look a lot different than we've seen this Ravens team. Because last week against the Jets, I mean, they won. They didn't look great, but you're not going to complain about a win. But the Browns game was really bad. The Vikings game, they didn't look particularly great. And then the Dolphins game, they kind of handled business at the end, but it wasn't pretty for a lot of that game. It was kind of take advantage of bad Dolphins mistakes. So a win's a win. I'm not going to complain about, or I'm not going to, if you are a Ravens fan, you're 6-5, you won 5 in a row, but there's some concerns to be had. But with this one here, just the Bengals are a really, I mean, they're a bad team, man. There's no way around it. I simply trust John Harbaugh and the Ravens more than I trust Zach Taylor and the Bengals. And I saw a stat, I think it's something along these lines, but I want to say Zach Taylor is something like 3-18 without Joe Burrow as a starting quarterback. No, they are getting Joe Burrow back in this game, but it's not a good matchup, or not a favorable matchup for the Bengals. Though I will say positively for Cincinnati that the opportunity for them's there because they're only 3 games back, but I don't trust the Bengals. I just don't trust. I don't think it's a good roster. I don't trust where they are. And especially when you have 2 of your 4 best players out already for a team that's not great. So give me Baltimore in this one to win.
Yeah, I think it's probably a get right game for Lamar and this Ravens offense. I agree with everything you said there. But yeah, I mean, you look at the Bengals, it's like, okay, if you win this, and I think it's a winnable game if Joe Burrow can be healthy and be Joe Burrow, then you do have Buffalo next week, which would be another ultimate test. But Buffalo's been very beatable this year. Then you come right back and play Baltimore again. It's like, this is it. If they can manage to win these 3 games, then you finish with Miami, Arizona, Cleveland. And after beating Baltimore twice, that's what you're attaching to in this game is a go. And I wonder if Trey Hendrickson, I haven't looked at the injury report, but I wonder is Trey Hendrickson going to try to give it a go for this one? Just one last little hoorah.
T and Trey are both they're both out.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, got to go Ravens, but hey, if the Bengals win, good for them. Let's, maybe they can spark a little interest at the end of the season here, but I don't expect it. That defense is it's just non-competitive. All right, let's go to the Carolina Panthers hosting the LA Rams. Woof, man. For me, I wrote down this game this is the older, like in a family of 4, the oldest sibling that became a lawyer versus the youngest sibling that can't shake his drug habits. That's what this game is. The Panthers just can't seem to straighten things out and be a consistent team. Meanwhile, the Rams, it's like hitting every single green light imaginable. I think the Rams roll in this one. I know J.C. Horn left with concussion type symptoms on Sunday or Monday night. Obviously, if there's any question there, wait. Okay, yeah. We're on to Sunday. I was like, wait, the Panthers play Monday and Thursday, and my brain hadn't moved on to Sunday yet. Yeah, I mean, if J.C. Horn's not able to go, like, how are you getting any plays from this Panthers defense? I would be terrified of a big Devontae, big Puka game. And I mean, the Panthers theoretically, like, if they have a chance in this game, they have to come out and run the football. You got to lean into Rico. Chuba had some good plays last week, but they've really struggled to have that, like, you coaches talk about, like, riding the hot hand, kind of. It felt like there's been some moments where they're trying to give them this 50-50 split and not necessarily just lean into Rico. They've had this weird kind of balance between this running game this year that they haven't really been able to find. So I don't know if they can find that in this game against the Rams that on paper still have a lighter front, but they've been outstanding against the run because of Poona Ford and Nate Landman coming in here as great additions. I mean, I know the Panthers are 6-6, but it's David and Goliath in this game, man. I like the Rams to go into Charlotte and cover.
I'm with you. And my frustration with the Panthers, I mean, after the one Bryce goal line interception this past week, somebody tweeted, "You just can't do that, Bryce Young." And I immediately tweeted back. I was like, "You just can't do that, Dave Canales. You have Rico Dowdle." And sure, it was a bad decision by Bryce to throw that interception, but I don't know. Gee, maybe run the ball with Rico Dowdle up the middle to get a touchdown. Just an all around frustrating game for the Panthers on Monday. And that's kind of just where I stand with this team is I'm not buying in until I see it regularly. And that's just the way, I hate to say it, but other than just that's the way it is, but that's just the way that it is with this team. I'm just not going to buy in. And even if they beat the Rams, they still have a pretty difficult end of their schedule. So I want to see this team really, do it multiple weeks in a row before it's like, hey, let's go ahead and just buy in then,
Yeah, you knew after that game, it was going to be easy for people to jump on Bryce, and the pick wasn't good. Like Bryce certainly wasn't, great, not even good, or, he was probably close to bad in that game, but you had he scrambles for a first down and it gets called back for holding. You have multiple T-Mac drops that's the one thing that T-Mac needs to clean up. You have some miscommunications. You have the play where Xavier Legette steps out of bounds on a great play from Bryce. Right. You have just countless. There was a play that I shared going around where they tried to run a swing pass down by the goal line, and Jatavion Sanders thinks he's supposed to run the fake screen wheel route thing, and he just lets the guy into the backfield and blows up the thing. It's just a complete, all around failure from the Panthers offense. It wasn't just Bryce Young.
All right, let's go to 49ers Browns, and then how about Bears Eagles?
Sounds good. So right. You want to go 49ers Browns?
Yeah, let's go 49ers Browns. Yeah. So within this game, we obviously have Bob Saleh against Shedeur Sanders. That's going to be one of the first things to note. But I do have a little facts. I do have this for another game coming up as well. The 49ers historically have not fared well in Cleveland at all. And the last time the 49ers won in Cleveland was 1984. And then the only time before that was in 1959. So 2 wins in Cleveland in the past 66 years for the 49ers. Now, obviously, these teams don't play every year, but I thought that was noteworthy. And the last time these teams played was a couple of years ago. It was in 2023. It was the game where Jake Moody missed a couple field goals. The 49ers started out the year 5-0. They looked like they were on another level, and then they lost a couple of games in a row. This was one of them in Cleveland. But the biggest thing with the 49ers is and this also very much applies to the Browns offense, is this is a much, much different team that Shedeur Sanders is going to face than the Raiders. I mean, the 49ers are better at, I would argue, nearly every position. Maybe, of course, Max Crosby is going to outrank where the 49ers currently are from an edge rushing standpoint. But the 49ers are, there's a reason that they are Super Bowl contenders year in and year out. And I think it could be a potentially long day for not just Shedeur Sanders, but Brock Purdy as well. And what I think should also be remembered is even within Shedeur Sanders' Week 12 game against the Raiders last week, he was only 11 for 20. So yeah, he had the big play to Isaiah Bond. He had the one good play to Jerry Jeudy where Jerry Jeudy fumbled, but he wasn't 18 of 21 for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. This was not an all-time game by any means. And within this, I think that this is going to be a very, very low-scoring game. The Browns defense is obviously led by a one-of-one talent, a true generational player in Myles Garrett. And I think that this game could very easily be the first 1 to 17 points wins. And I think 5.5 is actually a pretty good line in terms of the 49ers being 5.5 point favorites. But if I had to pick right now, I do think that Cleveland's going to cover. And I also wanted to shout out Isaiah McGuire. He had 9 pressures last week. Obviously, the Browns feasted on a very poor Raiders offensive line. But I do think the 49ers are going to win something along the lines of 17-14, 20-17. I think it's going to be very low scoring, and it's going to be, by every definition, a defensive-centric game.
Yeah, I agree with the low scoring. This is a big game for Brock Purdy, though.
Yes.
Hard game. Horrible, played horrible Monday night. And, we saw what Mac Jones played like. I didn't think it was going to go this route, but, I think there can be, if Purdy struggles again here, I think there can at least be a conversation there. I could absolutely see Cleveland winning this game. I can't see them winning any game with that D-line. I just think they can wreck a game plan. So I'm going to lean into what you led this off with. The Niners have struggled in Cleveland historically. I'm going to pick the Browns. Why not?
All right.
Not super confident in that, but I think they can do it. And,
wait. I wanted to add one more thing. Hold on. One more thing. This was just, I had to include this. Did you see, I'm sure you follow this very close, Kendrick Perkins, his content?
I have never been a Kendrick Perkins fan. I'll tell you that.
Well, he said a quote this week. He said, and then we'll just go to the Bears game immediately after this. let's see. Kendrick Perkins. I want to get the exact quote. Kendrick Perkins said, quote, Shedeur Sanders is the most powerful black man in the United States since Barack Obama. I mean, that's a quote. That's a quote. That's a take, by the way. Yeah. So
the thing is he? Well, he is wrong, but
right. Well, I mean, yeah,
I get what he's saying. Like the level, and maybe this makes me a hater, but like I've always thought Taylor Swift, like the level of hype she gets relative to the talent,
right?
It doesn't quite add up. You know what I'm saying? Like I think she's good. Is she like the most unbelievable performer that should dominate like 90% of the media world? No, probably not. Is Shedeur a poor man's Taylor Swift? I don't know. But that's a very fascinating.
I mean, yeah, the comments are what you'd expect. I mean, it's yeah. I
mean. You know what? As far as Kendrick Perkins takes go, that made me laugh at least.
But
all right, shall we move forward?
Yes.
All right. We're going to the Eagles. Okay. Hell yeah, man. This game's going to be fun. You got the soaring Chicago Bears against the treading water Philadelphia Eagles. I feel like the Eagles are just kind of coasting, trying to get to the playoffs at this point. I still think this is a very dangerous team to go against. I think there's a reason they're a 7-point favorite. They got to figure out how to run the ball better. And Lane Johnson's out for an extended period of time here. Hopefully he can get back for the playoffs. But you're definitely seeing, like, you know, compared to last year's Eagles team, was this your game?
No.
Am I hijacking your game?
No.
Okay. You're definitely seeing, compared to last year's Eagles team, like they were to run the ball, play defense, and Hurts was, I think, week to week. And when Hurts wasn't on, it didn't matter as much. This year, it's mattering more because their margin for error is wider. Their defense is extremely good, but they're not quite on that like suffocating level that they were at the end of last year. And the run game, again, reduces their margin for error. They're in more third downs. They're not getting the explosive offense from Saquon Barkley. And I think that's something that's still in there to be had. I think Saquon's incredible. It just hasn't happened. So is this the week against a Bears defense that's very porous? I don't know how many of their linebackers are going to be able to get healthy for Friday. I know all 3 of their starters were out last week, so that's something to keep an eye on. But, you know, I could certainly see this being the, the day that Saquon gets loose and has that big day that we've been, I feel like, waiting for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then, yeah, I mean, the Bears offense going against this Eagles defense that, yes, I said isn't as good as it was last year, but it's still one of the best defenses in the league. They're going to make things extremely tough on Caleb Williams, and all of those wide open intermediate throws that he had against the Steelers last week, they're not going to be there against this defense. I can tell you that. Not against these linebackers and the way Fangio coaches this defense. So, the run game's going to be, it's always tough to run against this Eagles defense. Caleb's going to have to really be challenged in this game against a defense that forces you to, find answers, to think and play the quarterback position at a high level and adjust to rotating safeties and, blitzes coming at you at random times. They don't blitz a lot, but when they do, it is effective. So like, it's the biggest of tests for this Bears offense. And I don't know if they can live up to it. The Bears have been this interesting team, right? Where they had this easy schedule to start, and it's been kind of ramping up the last couple of weeks. And I feel like we're in evaluation mode on like how serious are the Bears. I also just don't know what to think about this Bears defense because they suck until they have incredible turnovers. Like they do have those playmakers on the back end. We've seen it enough times now from, oh man, the outside corner that keeps making.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yep.
And yeah,
safety, of course, but yes.
Yeah, like these guys just keep making plays. When the linebackers are healthy, they are opportunistic to go for the football, to jump on the football, whatever it might be. But the Eagles, say what you want about their offense, one thing they do extremely well is protect the football, and that's something Jalen Hurts really leans into. So can this Bears team like win a tough game when they're not getting those big turnovers? I think that's potentially a big swing in this game. So I got to go the Eagles. I definitely think 7 points is about right here. What Eagles offense shows up, I don't know, but they can't lose too many more games if you're Philadelphia, right? Like, you still want to compete for the 1 seed, but I don't know. The Eagles are just such a weird team to discuss right now because I still feel like ultimately they're going to win their division and be a freaking powerhouse in the playoffs, but that's just not where they're at currently.
I'm with you. And somebody did, I do have a really devoted Bears fan that comments all the time on the Bears. He said the Bears could be out up to 7 starters, like 7 from, opening day. So that's obviously huge. And especially with the linebackers. So this is, this is a game that I think you can legitimately justify either way for obvious reasons. If you want to say the Eagles put a full game together, you would like to think at some point they're going to, you just don't know when. And they had a great 20 minutes last week. Can we scale that to 60 minutes? Can we have some sort of consistency in the final, just more than a couple of drives here or there? But with the Bears, I will be honest. I think this game has the potential to be one of the, I don't want to say ugly games, but just a lot of, it could pretty easily be a punt fest. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game finish, 20-14, 19-16, somewhere in there. I do think the Bears cover the spread, though. I would be kind of surprised to see that, especially with how how incapable the Eagles offense has been at times of taking advantage of opportunities and really like stepping on a team's throat, if you will. So I think this game will be close all throughout. I will choose the Birds to win. Obviously, they have had the success they've had over the past couple of years for a reason. But if the Bears improve to 9-3, this would be, obviously you're already having a very, very successful season, but playoffs would almost be inevitable for the Bears. I know they have a difficult couple of final games, but if you win this game, I feel like the playoffs are almost inevitable for the Bears if they pull off the upset.
Yeah, definitely. Big game for Caleb, man. Like,
it is.
If he's bad, I don't think you jump on him. I could definitely see him struggling in this game, but if he's good, we can really ramp up the combo on him for sure.
All right. We have an AFC South clash, Texans Colts.
Yes, we do.
This to me, game of the week. This is game of the week potential. Sorry, because excluding Thursday, but this is Sunday or Monday, the best game between the 2 days. Texans pass rush versus the Colts versus the Colts offensive line. I got a little too far ahead of myself. What I was going for was the meme of absolute cinema. That's this game. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, both top 5 in the NFL in pressures. Will Anderson has 64 pressures on the year. Danielle Hunter has 57. And by the way, I just want to shout out my guy, Danielle. He was sacking Josh Allen last week. Don't know if you saw the clip, but they slowed it down. And the way he was getting pulled down, he was about to, it would have hurt Josh Allen's knee. My guy, Danielle Hunter, class act all the way. Just great guy. Great player, of course, as well. Future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. So wanted to shout that out. But within this, this is going to be the big thing because the Colts right now, Daniel Jones, there was a stat that I heard between weeks 1 through 8 was second in the NFL against the blitz. I don't know if this was completion percentage or efficiency, what this was, but he was really good against the blitz weeks 1 through 8. And since week 9, he's 22nd. And we've mentioned this before, how is this going over the past couple of weeks? How will this continue to go? Because this is something to monitor. We are at that point where this is going on, 3-4 weeks of Daniel Jones kind of looking like the old Daniel Jones. And then especially you get a team that has 2 legitimate all-pro pass rushers in some ways with, the Colts, Jags, and Texans could all win the AFC South. It wouldn't surprise me. The AFC South is as wide open as it gets. And what I have written down in my notes for this game with Daniel Jones is how will you respond against this defense of all defenses? Because Daniel Jones last week was 2 of 7 beyond 10 yards through the air. And I also don't think it's a coincidence that the Colts offense had their lowest offensive yardage of the season last week. And the Chiefs game plan was, we are going to sell out at all costs to stop Jonathan Taylor and go from there. And as we know, the Colts lost 23-20. Now, with the Colts specifically, they are 8-3. They obviously, their first 8 games of the year were awesome. They were prior to their bye week, but they have after this at the Jags, at the Seahawks, home against the 49ers, home against the Jags, at the Texans. This is kind of a playoff schedule before the playoffs start. I would argue in some ways that this is a must-win for both teams. Obviously, with the AFC South being completely wide open, and also CJ Stroud is back this week, so there's a lot going on for both sides here. Indy by 4.5. I'm going to be honest. I think I'm going to take the pass rush, and I'm going to take the defense on the road. Defense travels. Houston 17-14 final.
Yeah. Well, you said one thing in there that caught my attention. It said you wouldn't be surprised if the Jags won the AFC South. Let's be honest. I think we'd both still be surprised if that team figured it out and won. You said I wouldn't be surprised if any of these.
I meant Texans. Sorry. Okay. If I said that, I meant Texans. Sorry.
I thought you said you wouldn't be surprised if any of these three teams won the AFC South.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I was like, let's be honest. I like both these teams. I'd be pretty surprised if the Jags get their act together enough straight weeks to do it after they almost lost to the Cardinals last week. But I love everything you said. I'm also on the Texans this week. I'm just going to kind of let it ride with this team that I've been like just banging and banging the drum for this team for a few weeks. It's been really fun. I mean, that Thursday night game, you saw what this defense is capable of. I agree with everything you said. Like Daniel Jones has returned to just being an okay quarterback. I don't think it's been a train wreck, but when you're facing this unit that's red hot, and then, I think the Colts will have some moments, like whether it's JT or a big Alec Pierce touchdown. I think there's moments where the Texans secondary can get a little porous and whether it's Kalen Bullock trying to jump a dig route and letting a guy behind them or whatever, like they can get a little bit out of place at times. So you might get an Alec Pierce play or, someone gets lost for that. Like I think we see some points from the Colts, but I think they're under a lot of pressure. I think the Colts can, or the Texans can get enough stops. And then, man, CJ Stroud coming back. I really think that's maybe even the bigger thing to keep an eye on in this game is what do all of the adjustments that the Texans have made and the things they've learned about themselves over the last month, how do they show up in this game? I think the offensive line has been stabilized. It's still not a good unit, but I also don't think the Colts D line is anything special. Like Latu's playing well, but that's about it. So they've settled down offensively. They've figured some things out about their run game. They've discovered these young Iowa State wide receivers. Can Stroud step in and then all of a sudden, like, can you legitimately be a pretty solid offense? I think it's possible. So I don't really understand the Colts by 4.5 in this game. I think there's a massive amount of value there.
I do want to clarify. CJ's practicing has not been cleared yet. So I got it. I thought he'd be playing, but there some are saying General Mills is leading, but we'll see.
Okay. I do know in our dynasty league, Davis Mills is projected 0 points. I do know that. But because I'm actually still setting my lineup after being eliminated by the playoffs. Not going to call out who you are, but someone's tanking in our league, and I'm not happy about it.
James.
Anyway, if Stroud plays, I'll take the Texans. If it's Mills, I think the Colts defense can do enough. They're a pesky defense. I mean, they had some really impressive like little turnovers last week by guys. Latu does the volleyball play, gets the pick. Franklin, like they can capitalize on some mistakes on that defense. So that's where I stand on this one. If it's Stroud, I'm really optimistic about this one. I still think Davis Mills he's playing all right, but he's still pretty limited. I don't know if he can keep pace with a much better offense here, which is crazy to say compared to the Bills offense, by the way, but I think it holds. So that's where I'll go. I think if Stroud plays, I like Houston to win this game outright and cover the spread. If it's Mills, I'll go Colts.
All right. And Colts fans, by the way, if you guys lose and Daniel Jones throws a couple picks, I just don't consume any media in the next week. I'll just leave it at that. Just go 0 dark 30.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a hellscape that could potentially show up with a collapse on the Colts here, but hopefully they can avoid it. All right. Let's stay in the AFC South. Quicker game here. Jags, Titans. So Jags, I mean, you can't lose this game. Like that goes without saying. I tweeted this out last week too. I was strongly considering betting on the Jags to cover against the Cardinals. in like basically a must-win game for the Jags to try to keep pace here. The same applies this week. It's like, I don't trust this team, and they did everything in their power to try to lose that game last week. They make it work in the end. They were the better team. And they are the better team in this game again here today, but they got to be careful. It's a road divisional game. The Titans, credit where credit's due. They've settled down from being, we had a conversation about them like a month ago. Like, is this a historically bad football team? I don't think they're playing like that in the last few weeks. I think Cam Ward's keeping his head above water. You did a good job calling that out last week. And then I think again, this week against Seattle, it was going to be an impossible ask for him to not look like crap in that game. And he did. I just like that term for him, kept his head above water amidst the tsunami that's going against him here in Tennessee. But I think the Titans defense has a good interior D line. Their run defense, Cedric Gray has been pretty good this year 2 linebacker. And the Jags try to beat you with the run game. So, Tennessee, bunch of guys playing for their jobs, in this one at home. It's a trap game. It's got trap game written all over it. It's why it's only a 6.5 point spread. So I will take the Jags, but man, Trevor Lawrence got to play better. Can't give this game away. And look out if you're the Jags.
So I'm with you. And by the way, I like that term. I'm definitely going to use that this offseason when talking about, because I'll do a couple of like how I would rebuild the Titans. And, it's assuming if they have the number 1 pick, trade down, get more capital. And I'll use that like the tsunami around them reference. I really do like that. But Cam Ward, best game of his career last week against a phenomenal defense. So you have to credit where it's due. But this is a game, like we said last week for the Jags, you want to be taken seriously, you have to win this game. There is no other, Cam Ward did this against our defense. There's 52 other players. There's 21 other players on the field. You have to win this game. That's all there is to it. Because, I want to believe in the Jags, and, we had the full Dr. Jekyll and Trevor Lawrence experience last week. And that was something I don't want to see again, because Trevor Lawrence will hit I'll just say this. There's a reason he was as hyped up as he was coming out of Clemson. And you'll see that, 5 years ago, there's a reason he was that player. You'll see that. And then the next play, he will make a play quite literally worse than you or I could make in the same, like within 2 plays. And it's extremely frustrating. You have to win this game. There's no other. I don't care if you win 3-2. I don't care if you win on a safety 2-0. Like, you got to win. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry.
Get the baseball bats out, throw some fastballs, steal some bases, win this one.
You got to.
Yeah, I like it.
You have to. That's the biggest thing. I want to see Liam Cohen do well. I want to see the Jags continue to play relevant football. The Jags fan base. I love the Jags fan base. They are a passionate bunch. They are awesome. They're very cool to interact with. I don't think I've seen any toxicity within the Jags fan base. They're generally a great bunch. I want to see them do well, but you got to win.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's just you clearly aren't a big enough Trayvon Walker hater to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But
I do love you, Jags fans, though. All right, Saints, Dolphins. This is a rematch of. I'm doing what I can to make this one interesting. I went back a couple years. Brandon Staley, the defense coordinator for the Saints now. I think the best Brandon Staley moment of his career was a Sunday Night Football game, 2022. Both these games were like 7-6 and 8-5 or something like that. It was a big AFC Week 14 Sunday Night Football game between the Dolphins and the Chargers. And Brandon Staley put up a masterclass of out-scheming Mike McDaniel, Jesus. And they won that game 23-17. And at that moment, I was like, okay, Brandon Staley maybe can actually do something. And then the next 2 years happened. But can he repeat that against a system that hasn't changed too much here? I guess something to look out for. Lurking safeties, Jonas Sanker, 2 interception game against Tua, turn the ball over, something like that. But this is a cozier defense for the Saints to go against here. Tyler Shough did not have a good game last week against Atlanta. The Dolphins don't have too much of a pass defense here. With Alvin Kamara banged up, I imagine that you will see a heavy passing script for the Dolphins or for the Saints against the Dolphins here. So we'll see where this one goes. If the Dolphins are favored for a reason in this game, they're the one team that has been able to consistently move the ball, or at least relatively consistently move the ball. But if I'm a Dolphins fan, I kind of just want Tua to throw 4 picks and lose this game and get this over with. Honestly, like I'm curious what Dolphins fans think about that. Like you're not making the playoffs this year. Get a better draft pick. And what I don't want is for this team to talk themselves back into Tua, honestly. So I'm curious what Dolphins fans think about that. I would almost be cheering for the Saints if I'm a Dolphins fan in this one. But you got to pick the Dolphins. What's up?
We have major news. Frank Ragnow coming out of retirement for the Lions. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude, that's why my eyes were. I was like, whoa! Somebody commented.
Holy
Frank
crap.
Ragnow just in time for a run.
Of course. So he's not playing tomorrow, right?
I don't know. I don't think
that'd
so.
be nuts.
I don't think there's any way.
There's no way, right?
Ian Rappaport said, sounds like he's in shape, ready to roll sooner rather than later. But the Lions just tweeted a picture of him coming out of the tunnel. I would be, I can't imagine that 3:45 today. He's playing 1:00 tomorrow. I can't imagine that, but
yeah. Wow. That'd be crazy.
That's
if anybody
insane.
Would do it, it'd be Frank Ragnow, the guy that like played the Commanders game. Like he played through like, or whatever game that was, he played through like a broken ankle. I think it was the week before. Wow. Okay. That's big news for Detroit, obviously. It's been a huge loss at center there.
I just wanted to say quickly off this game, the path for the Dolphins is there, and Tyler Shuck, I just want to see continued progression for the Saints' future. I want to see them lose. The Dolphins, like they have a couple winnable games. They play the Saints this week. They play the Jets next week. You can get to 6 and 7 entering the Steelers game in week 15. The opportunities there. I'm going with Miami to win. Saints to cover. They had a couple of really bad breaks last week, but I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins to win.
Yep.
All right, we have Falcons Jets, by the way.
All right.
Here's the big fun fact of this. This is actually a crazy fact. Don't know if you're going to believe it. I scheduled this tweet this morning, so this tweet will actually come out in an hour. But anyway, the last time the Jets beat the Falcons in New York was 1998. The final score of that game, I wish I was kidding. I'm not kidding. 28-3 was the last time the Jets. Yes, that was the last time the Jets beat the Falcons in New York.
I think you have to pick the Jets now.
I wrote down is Kirk good again / serviceable, because he played solid last week. I mean, he really did. James Pierce quietly second in pressures for rookies, only behind Abdul Carter, of course. And in terms of, like a little draft, like, sickos type, content, just in terms of one-on-one matchups, like seeing, young players go up against each other. We have James Pierce against either Olu Fashanu this week or Armand Membo, and the same thing also applies for Jalen Walker. So very much looking forward to seeing how that goes. Falcons, by the way, they're quietly in the NFC South race. I mean, the Panthers they have a tough schedule to end the year. The Bucs are going through it right now. I'm putting both the Bucs and Panthers both on bird alert just for the Falcons. Falcons, you got to win this game, obviously. And I know the Falcons have obviously had a lot of, frustration with Zach Robinson, and I get it. But they've put up 23 or more points in each of their last 4 games. Not, defending Zach Robinson, but I would also like to think that you have a defensive-minded head coach. You should probably be better than 1-3 in your last 4 games, especially with what you've put up. But I do think the Falcons are going to win. The biggest thing for the Jets is it was better to see more competent play at the quarterback position. And I want to see a continued evaluation of the receiving room entering 2026. But ultimately, I think Atlanta's going to win. And I am, like I said, the biggest matchup that I'm looking forward to from a one-on-one perspective is the Falcons pass rushers against the Jets, each of their last 2 offensive tackle selections. But I think Atlanta wins 23-14, 23-16, somewhere in there.
Okay. I'm going to take the Jets.
Okay.
I think they can run the ball. I think they have a major advantage with that offensive line against a thin Falcons D-line that, they've had a lot of struggles against the run this year, and that's what the Jets are going to come out and try to do. Breece Hall's looked fantastic. While you were talking, I checked the forecast, and it's going to be about 45 degrees with a 50% chance of rain and 16-mile-an-hour winds, so not going to be cozy outdoor football for Kirk Cousins as opposed to playing in the dome. That's a big worry for me is can he drive the football? So I think there's a lot of things leaning Jets in this individual matchup. You do have the Jeff Ulbrich revenge game
Good call.
in this one. Yeah, low scoring, ugly run script. You need a big day from Bijan for the Falcons to win. I agree that the Falcons are in the AFC or the NFC South race. However, they do still have the Seahawks and the Rams on the schedule, and they basically have to win out. So you're right, but there's just no way. There's just no way.
It'll get interesting this week.
This team's dead in the water. A win against the Jets isn't going to spark that, win streak after beating the Saints and the Jets. Probably doesn't mean much there, but I'm going to take the Jets to just bury that narrative out the gate. All right. We got another good game here. Bills Steelers, major playoff implications in this one in the afternoon. This one has some very interesting matchups here. You have strength on weakness in both departments here. The Bills continue to really struggle against the run. I mean, even the fact that the Texans had any success against you running the ball is pathetic. If anybody's watched that Texans run game this year, they continue to have some injuries in that Bills defense, and the Steelers do run the ball pretty well. Jalen Warren's look fantastic. They have some maulers, the heavy personnel, all that stuff. So that's going to be, I think, an advantage in the Steelers' favor. The Bills prefer to come out and play nickel defense. The Steelers, if the Bills want to match their heavy personnel and nickel, I think the Steelers can have a lot of fun with that. So I do think the Steelers can have some success offensively. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers dealing with that wrist injury. I think he's playing. Again, he was projected fantasy points on my sleeper app while I was setting lineups this morning. So we'll see where that goes. I was really surprised he didn't play last week in Soldier. So we'll continue to monitor that situation. I think that's a big deal. Say whatever you want about Rodgers. Mason Rudolph is basically just a check down artist, and there's just not a whole lot else going on there. Rodgers has at least been able to push the ball downfield. It's crazy to say he opens up your play action boot game because Rodgers is one of the slowest starting QBs in the league, but compared to Mason Rudolph, he at least has some mobility to him. And it's a big part of what they want to do. So I do think if the Steelers want a chance, I do think Rodgers has to play in this one. So we'll see what happens there. But on the other side of things, I mean, the Steelers defense regressed all the way backwards last week against Chicago with that just wide open, vacant middle of the field defense. I don't know what you want to call that coverage, cover Tomlin maybe. But they've had these games where teams can just snap the ball, look at the middle of the field, find where Patrick Queen is and run a couple routes around him and pick your poison. That's kind of been parts of the season for the Steelers and the Bills offense. That is where their entire passing game is designed. They've struggled in recent weeks because teams have forced them to try to go outside, and that's where they've struggled. Well, I don't know if the Bills or if the Steelers can adjust. And I mean, they just kind of run what they run, and the smart teams have been able to pick on them there. So that's where I'm really worried. I actually like this to be a higher scoring game. I don't know what the over under is here. Let's see. It is
taking a look here.
Yeah. 47.5. So it's already pretty high, but I like this to be a higher scoring game as long as the conditions aren't too bad. But Bills favored by 4. I think that adds up. I will take the Bills, but not a lot of confidence. I think the Steelers have a legitimate chance in this one if Rodgers plays.
I do too. This is, to me though, I mean, look, I think the season is kind of on the line for both teams. I mean, they'll both still be alive, of course, but the biggest thing that I go back to for the Steelers prior to the season is, did you bring in Aaron Rodgers and Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith and everybody they did this offseason to say, hey, you know what, we're actually tired of winning. Like we just want to win 9 games, be another wild card round exit. Like you brought them in to try and legitimately win in the postseason. I just don't think the Steelers have the horses. I really don't. And by the way, that doesn't mean I think the Bills do. It's like, hey, well, a lot of things can be true. I have a lot of questions with the Bills right now. And they brought in Brandon Cooks and released Elijah Moore. So that was a move. I'll just say that was one of the moves of the NFL season. But I feel like when it comes down to it, I'm going to trust the Bills. They have a couple of extra days rest. Aaron Rodgers, I still feel like he's not 100%, whether, they can say whatever. I still feel like he's not 100% entering this game. And Josh Allen in his prime, Aaron Rodgers, and this is a tough one, man, because you could lean either way. I'm going to go Buffalo, but I don't have any sort of confidence in this at all.
Which team's weapons would you rather have?
The Steelers, personally. Well, I don't know, because James Cook outweighs,
including running backs.
Yeah. You know what? I'm still going to go the Steelers just because I'm a sucker for like punch you in the mouth run game, and I would have Darnell Washington on the field almost at all times. Like he would be. He's a 310-pound tight end. I would have him out there every play.
He's the decider for sure.
If I were an NFL team, if I were a GM, I would like call Omar Khan this offseason and be like, hey, like what is, like, let's just have a conversation. What is the cost? That is my type of guy. I want to be a big team.
I think his price would be very high considering the rise in 12 personnel. I think he has tremendous value for that team.
But let's move on to Vikings Seahawks. This is a game. Oh, baby. Look, Max Brosmer starting. Biggest thing for the Minnesota, they just need NFL level of quarterback play. That's it. Just NFL level. Not awful, not not
I'm gonna put something on here while you talk. 1 second. You keep going.
Okay.
Sorry.
What's up, guys? Sorry, I'm solo here. All right. So anyway, look, JJ McCarthy. Anyway, Max Brosmer starting. The Vikings right now 27th in turnovers forced defensively. They have 3 interceptions all year. They only have 9 turnovers all year, and 5 came in one game alone against Cincinnati. And then with the Seahawks, we have JSN. I expect a huge day against the secondary. Sam Darnold should have, GEQ, BUS. He should have a phenomenal day against this team. And I'm going to be honest, as a Vikings fan, I'm not looking forward to this. I'm not looking forward to what's going to come after this because I fully expect the Seahawks to win this game. They're favored like by a lot too. They're favored by 10.5. And I will say that if McCarthy was starting, especially against this defense on the road, I think it would be a miracle for the Vikings to keep this within 17 points. Max Brosmer, I have no idea how he's going to play. Anybody saying, hey, I know how Brosmer is for sure going to play, they're lying. The only thing that I will say is I think it is legitimately hard to do worse than what JJ McCarthy has played in the first 6 games and specifically over the past couple of weeks. So Seattle to win by a lot. Sam, please take it easy on us, buddy. I miss you, but you're on to bigger and better things.
All right, I'm gonna give you bonus points if you can guess why I put this on. I don't know if I can get the number to show, but it's 34.
David Ortiz. He played for the Twins. You act like I don't know that.
I have made comps to the Vikings letting Darnold go. Reminds me of when the Vikings let David Ortiz go, and how much that hurt as a Twins fan. So I had to break this out. But really, yeah, I'm really excited to see. I do wish, as a Gophers fan, and I saw you tweeting about the Gophers lose. Screw you.
So I was just tweeting. The thing is like when I'm tweeting, there's an old Kevin Durant tweet where it's like, I'm on 10 until I close the app. Like you watch yourself or something. It's like whatever's on my mind.
Yeah,
like, it's just going.
It's going into the yep. But I wish it was a more favorable matchup for Max Brosmer to generate some love, like at Seattle against this defense. Like, all right, here you go, dude, I guess. I wish this was the Dolphins or, a different defense, because I actually think there's something there to the Brock Purdy to Trey Lance comparison here. Something I pointed out in the offseason. But in this matchup, it's like, yeah, Brosmer could throw 3 picks and just never get an opportunity again. So it's just like kind of tough. But I'm excited to see what it looks like. I think the ball is going to come out a lot faster. I think you see slants and dig routes to Justin Jefferson. Like, there you go. Like, that's like, don't overcomplicate it. Like, that's what Max Brosmer does. He's the perfect kind of Jimmy Garoppolo-esque comp within this style system. So I think there's a chance he plays well. And then, Darnold against the old team. How fun is that? Brian Flores knows his tendencies. There's opportunities there for a Brian Flores game to force that Sam Darnold nightmare scenario. There's a feel good moment in there for the Vikings, but can they take advantage of it? I don't know.
No.
Yeah. I think I go Seahawks, but this will be a fun one. This will be a very fun one.
I'll say this: the only thing that actually like annoys me, like very much annoys me, is when people are like, "Oh, they're soft benching JJ again." The whole thing is just that is like just scream out loud. I don't actually watch the games because last week I don't know if you the one play where he was rocked with like 5 minutes left. TJ Hawkinson like legitimately like pulled him up and he was like on the ground, like eyes in the back of his head. Like you could tell he was not 100%. And I mean, TJ was just picking up his guy. Like I'm not like blaming. I don't think TJ Hawkinson, I think he's very much washed, but look, TJ was just doing the normal teammate thing. So like the whole thing is like, just scream out loud. I'm not actually watching the full games and I'm just getting jokes in about this because it's like, if you know the play, and then there was also a play where like his head literally like broke his fall, but that's the only part where it's like, just, scream out loud, just keep screaming out loud that you're not anyway. And by the way, I do have a quick super chat from Sekai. He's a very, very loyal supporter. I do have a couple super chats I'd like to get to just real quick. He says, I appreciate the hard work you do. I expect my Seahawks defense to make life miserable. I'm with you but if I see NFL caliber quarterback play, even a resemblance, then I'm good. As long as it's not like a 41 donut, I'm good. We could beat 37-20, whatever. I'm fine. Even if it's 37-7 in the fourth quarter, you know what I mean? And then we're going back to the Josh Allen conversation that we had. Somebody asked somebody said that Allen and Cook masks a lot of flaws for the Bills, which I 100% agree with. Dude, I'm going to be honest. I think the Bills roster is in a really bad state right this second, just with everything. And then I did have a comment from Arrow who said, as an Eagles fan, I only see the Rams coming out of the NFC. Quite frankly, at this point, I would agree. I think they are going to be, they're my Super Bowl pick right now. And then I did have one from Kaifi. Appreciate it. He said, it's time for everyone to realize my Falcons are the only reason why Bryce Young has a job. P.S. This season sucks, but our rookies are balling. Like the stream. That also applies to Marcus viewers as well. Like the stream. And then he said, happy Thanksgiving, fam, with a heart. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody as well.
Thank you guys for the super chats. Now I have a quick hot take from this game. Either a Drake Thomas or Leonard Williams interception.
Yeah, sure.
Where they drop it.
Yep.
I think it's going to be like Brosmer is anticipating like an intermediate throw is going to be there. And then either Drake Thomas or Leonard Williams from like a blitz look drop into a spot that he's not expecting. And he throws it anyway. Kind of a Tua Tagovailoa style interception, if you will. All right. Broncos Commanders here. Sunday Night Football. I don't have too much on this one, if I'm being honest. Commanders have become very, very exhausting to talk about. It feels like it's kind of the same narrative every week. Still no Jaden Daniels, is such a bump. Well, I mean, I guess he's practicing. If Jaden plays, this will be fun just to see him play because he's such a fun player. I know Terry McLaurin's hoping to be back this week, but I just don't think it's going to matter. I think the Broncos defense is such a swarming unit that the Commanders kind of have this team ball type of deal where it's read options and running and screens and flipping the ball to the perimeter and like kind of having that rah style offense, if you will, under Mariota. And Denver's not going to have any of that. Like they're just so good defensively. And I think Bo Nix is going to have some plays in this one. I think it's going to be a good night for the Broncos offense. I like Denver to cover the spread in this one. I think that might be my favorite bet of the week, especially under a touchdown there. Unless Jaden plays, of course, but I don't think he's going to. So
no, I think I'm with you 100%. And if you are somehow still in a Survivor League, or maybe you picked up a Survivor League like midway through the season, this is one, or the Seahawks game. Both of these I would play Survivor. I mean, I'm sorry, Commanders fans, you guys. I mean, I've said a lot of things this year. I know Marcus, not to speak for you, but I know you've been in some hot water with Commanders fans as well. At times, I would be surprised if this game is within 10 if Mariota plays. I'll just leave it at that.
I will give Commanders fans credit, though, because I think a lot of people predict a regression season. And at least based on what I saw, I was almost like overwhelming agreement from Commanders fans. Like the expectations, I don't think were that high this year, to be honest. It's too bad their own team couldn't have been as realistic about their their expectations. But yeah.
I will say, by the way, before we transition to Raiders Chargers, I will say the Commanders fans, they are passionate, very, very passionate bunch. Like they've been hungry for a good team for a long time. And I mean, I live in the area, and everybody that's down near the city, they are they're a very hungry and passionate bunch.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Raiders Chargers. And then do you have Bucks cards?
I do have Bucks cards.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Raiders Chargers. All right. Chip Kelly fired this past week. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that changes much. They're a very bad team all around. And one thing that I want to say about the Raiders fans that I feel bad for, I dove into Raiders Twitter last week just to see how they were feeling during the game. And one of the things they said was that I also picked up on. I was curious to see if I was the only one feeling this way. It's not that they're just a bad team. I feel like if it's a bad team and you're rebuilding, it's whatever. If you have a Dan Campbell rah guy, hey, we're still going to fight, to the very end. That's one thing. But this is a very, at times, lifeless team. And you see it on the field. The effort's not there. The passion's not there. Pete Carroll is very clearly not the long-term guy. So you're going to have your fourth head coach in 5 years, almost guaranteed next year. And I'm going to be honest, if I have a take right now, I really think the Raiders finished 2-15. I mean, I think this is a team. This is actually something that I wrote down in my notes, that I think this is a team that, when all the podcasts, if they're still going in 10 years, I think this is a team you'll hear legit stories about. I couldn't believe this happened in the 2025 Raiders. I mean, I'm sorry, Raiders fans, I really am, but they have 27.4% of their rushing yards on the season in one game this year. It was against the Bears. Chargers are coming off their bye. They got a true belt to bottom against the Jags 2 weeks ago, 35-6. I have no doubt that Jim Harbaugh has been salivating for this game since they got home from Jacksonville. I think LA rolls in this.
Yeah.
And O'Marion Hampton activated from IR. I don't know if that means he's playing this week, but I saw that he was. So I just think LA rolls.
Yep. Fun clash of the two first round running backs in this one. Couldn't have asked for a better week to get a get right game for the Chargers coming off the bye. Get a little feel good energy down the stretch here to gear up for I believe they have a pretty challenging schedule coming up. Was looking at that from my last show that I put together. All right, yes, and then I do have I skipped Cardinals Bucks by accident, so we'll circle back to a noon game. Yeah, noon game, right? But Bucks got to be careful, man. Baker had some comments I saw about maybe I sit this one out so that I can actually finish the season. So he's very questionable to play in this one. Definitely if Baker plays, I think they can get enough with Godwin getting healthier and healthier, enough against this team to win. The Cardinals are just such a weird team because Jacoby can sling it, especially with Marvin practicing again this week. Another big deal. Does he play? Michael Wilson definitely deserves a shout out. He's been phenomenal the last 2 weeks. I had a tweet probably 10 days ago, just kind of questioning the Cardinals wide receiver depth and why they haven't added anybody. And I still think it applies. Their wide receiver 4 through 6 is hilarious, but Michael Wilson has stepped up in the biggest of ways with Marv out. So, I think they can sling it. I think they have a chance to win this game if you're Arizona. So if Baker's out, Teddy Bridgewater, I'm not sure what we should think about Teddy Bridgewater right now. He's coming out of coaching. He just doesn't look super prepared to play football right now. So did you hear what I was saying while you got up there?
Oh yeah.
About Teddy. Yeah, if it's Teddy in this game, I'm always pro Teddy Bridgewater, but I just from the moment he kind of came back out of retirement, he's been coaching and all that. I was like, well, it's fun. I'm glad he's there to hang out as a backup, but if he actually has to play, I just don't know how kind of in shape he is, athletically speaking, how dialed he is to the game plan. What'd you say? Mentally,
he's dialed. He's sharp. Teddy's my guy. Theodore Edmund Bridgewater II, he's my guy. Somebody rides with their quarterback, Teddy, that's my guy.
I just don't know. It's just weird. I don't watch him and feel the enthusiasm to play. And that applies to the last time we saw him too. So like when he was in Miami, it was just like, I figured when Tua went down, that was a couple years ago. But Tua went down and was like, oh, they got Teddy Bridgewater. Like he might even play better than Tua. And it was just like, oh, he doesn't know the playbook. Like what is going on? So I don't know. It's this weird dynamic where I love Teddy and I think he knows his football and he's a coach, but it's just like, it hasn't matched what I've watched. So if he has to play in this game, I think I got to take the Cardinals. We'll see what ends up playing out there, but yeah, the Bucs got to be careful. We've talked a lot about in this show today, how the NFC South is closing up, and as rough as the Panthers look, there's a chance that they are still right in this thing if Tampa drops this one.
I'll just say this: if for anybody that wants to place their hard-earned dollars on this game, I just would not place any dollars on this game at all. Like on either side, I just wouldn't. Baker banged up or Teddy. The Bucs need a win, but I wouldn't. The only thing I would remotely even consider is Arizona like plus 10, like an alternate spread. That's it. But that's not. Anyway, I
do have some super chats, by the way.
Go ahead, get to them. Yeah, I have one as well. Go ahead.
From Death himself, the Grim Reaper apparently is in our chat. But this was probably a while ago, so I'm sorry I missed that. I hope you're still hanging out with the show. Death himself, but he was answering, I think, when I asked about what Dolphins fans want earlier in the show. Do you even want to beat the Saints? He says, as a Dolphins fan, I just want to lose to get McDaniel fired. I think he's a great coach, but we'll fire him next year anyways. I'd rather not have my GM and coach on different timelines. I think it's a reasonable response to that, honestly, but I do still believe in McDaniel. Hope he can get things straightened out there. But then from Monty as well, $20 super chat. Thank you, Monty. Weekly Broncos whining is back. Yes, Monty has been in the chat for a few weeks with some great Broncos takes, some of which have come to fruition. But Broncos took the entire bye week off. Not sure I love that, given so many issues that need fixing. Peyton keeps saying penalties are unacceptable, but they keep coming. Okay. Something to keep an eye on. A flat night on Sunday Night Football. The trap game coming off the bye week. It does happen. So we'll see. Hey, we got Doggo.
We do. Should we do?
Hey.
She gets a little nervous because I have a full transparency. I have a light right here. So she gets a little nervous, but she's good. She lives a very, very pampered life. Very pampered, as you'd expect. But I do want to just discuss the Giants and Patriots real quick. It's 2-10 versus 10-2. And within this, I think this has the potential to be one of the more entertaining 2-10 versus 10-2 games of all time, just because of the quarterback play for the Giants. But I was kind of surprised the spread's only 7.5. I don't know. But within this, the last 4 Patriots home games have been an average victory by 15.5 points. The Giants also fired Shane Bowen last week. At this point, we do not know who is starting at quarterback for the Giants. That was when I took my notes this morning. I liked what we saw last week from the Giants offensively. Theo Johnson had 77 yards. Wandale had over 150 yards. Mike Kafka was in his bag. They put up 27 points on the road. You can argue that the Giants should have won that game. Like you can argue they should have won several other games this year. But with the Patriots, the biggest thing that I have here is to continue to take care of business. Obviously, you have the best record in the NFL at the moment because you haven't had your bye yet. But they're 10-2. They won 26-20 last week. Last week was definitely one of their more ugly wins of the season. And, not every win is going to be a 35-10 type win. But look, they still won last week. You are 10-2. And the biggest thing within this game as well is Will Campbell is on short-term IR. So that's definitely one thing to note in this game with the Patriots is how are they going to play without Will Campbell? How are they going to short-term adjust? And I would also say within this, one thing that I want to kind of discuss as well within this is, can you survive this game enough to just get into the bye at 11-2, just because of the injuries that were dealt last week and trying to get out of Paycor Stadium healthy and both Will Campbell and Jared Wilson went down last week. And I'll just leave it at that. Just take care of business, but try and survive the game. You know what I mean? And then have a good week off.
I could see the Giants pulling this off. I could just kind of trap game vibes.
Yeah. That's a couple people commented that.
because I think getting Shane Bowen out of there, I could see the Giants just like trying some stuff that isn't on tape that could work. Just, new coach coming in like, hey, I've had these ideas that Shane wouldn't let me run. Let's throw some blitzes in there. Let's get weird. And with Will Campbell out, that's going to be something Drake May has to adjust to against some very good pass rushers for the Giants. Like, he's been pretty comfy back there. Hasn't had to really worry about that blind side. I could easily see a Abdul Carter strip sack where Drake's just hanging there a little bit extra long. He reaches that ball out and you get that long arm little strip sack thing. I could see that. I think the Giants, they've done some stuff offensively that have surprised you. And they even broke out the trick plays last week, which they might have more in their bag of tricks. So yeah, Patriots got to be careful. I could see the upset. I'm not going to pick it. Right. The Patriots have been extremely reliable, but I'll leave it at that.
All right. So I think we're both, are you going Giants to cover?
I guess. Yeah. If I have to.
Okay.
I think I'd prefer to bet if I had to, I'd bet the Giants money line.
Okay.
If they lose, they might get rolled, but I could see them sneaking an upset in there.
Oh, that's tough. I had the picture fall down behind me. Anyway, we'll be good. That's all right. Good. Yeah, I'm good.
That's happened.
Sorry. Yeah, it's happened before. But no, so that will wrap up the week 13 preview. Shout out Meadow for joining. But if you guys did enjoy, please like the stream. It helps tremendously. Also, a huge happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And that's all I have. So Marcus.
Yep. Back at you as well. To the viewers, I did drop this morning a big Thanksgiving midseason assessment. What went right, what went wrong. Big Megalodon episode to consume throughout the weekend. You might not want to watch all 3.5 hours at once, but maybe you got to drive to your family's place. You got a flight to get to your family or something. Go check it out. But great show, Garrett. Happy Thanksgiving, and to all of you as well.
And as always, until next time, please be safe, especially tonight. Tonight's holiday, the day before Thanksgiving. Be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.
Cheers.